What's up, everybody? Today's video, we're going to break down these playoff contenders, like actual contenders, not teams that right now actually have a mathematical shot. I'm talking about teams that realistically have a shot, okay? Now, avoid making this video too long, let's go ahead and get right into it. Big Ten, okay? Penn State and Wisconsin are the only teams left undefeated out the Big Ten. Wisconsin, luckily, don't play Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State, Ohio State, all that, because they're on the other side of the conference. So, realistically, Wisconsin has the best chance, in my opinion, in the Big Ten to go, because they can win out, go to the Big Ten championship, and win that, and then boom, they're in there, even though they ain't been tested. But I don't see that happening anyways. Penn State, I don't care how good they are. They got a bye week this week, then they got Michigan at the house, then they go to Ohio State, then they go to Michigan State. They're not about to win all three of those games. Not back to back to back. It's not happening. Ohio State has to go, they play at the house to Penn State, play at the house to Michigan State, and then they have to go and play Michigan and Michigan. Michigan State still has Penn State, and then they have to go to Ohio State. And then Michigan still has Penn State, and then they still got Ohio State. I mean, I've been saying since the beginning of the season, Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State, we're all going to beat each other and give each other L's. Michigan State, surprisingly, isn't trash this year. They're actually pretty good, so expect them to go ahead and knock some L's. I don't really know who I'm predicted win out of their side. I'd say probably Michigan or Ohio State. But I don't feel like no one out the Big Ten is going. I don't feel like they're going. There's going to be too many L's out of all them teams. I just don't see it happening. But if someone does, I'd say it's going to be Wisconsin or Michigan. That's my predictions. Okay, out of the ACC, you got the reigning champs, Clemson, still undefeated. You know, looking like they have one of the best defenses in the country. This, that, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? They go to North Carolina State, and then they still have Florida State. I don't care how trash Florida State is. Playing against Clemson, you know how stuff goes in college football. Anything could happen on that game. But the big game for Clemson is at North Carolina State, because North Carolina State's, if North Carolina State beats Clemson, North Carolina State is going to the ACC championship. They've already beat Florida State. They've already beat Louisville. There's really no one else on their side that stands in their way except for Clemson. And if they can pull off the upset and get Clemson, they'll go to the ACC championship, which will screw up all of Clemson's playoff chances. Okay. Now, North Carolina State also has Notre Dame on their schedule, though, which I don't see them winning that game anyways, but that don't hurt them in the conference. Then on the other side, you got Miami, Virginia Tech. Miami, Virginia Tech still got to play each other. Miami also has played Notre Dame. It doesn't hurt them in the conference, but it can hurt them in the playoff picture. But really, for that side of the ACC, it comes down to Miami versus Virginia Tech. Whoever wins that game is going to go on and play in the ACC championship. But if I had to pick a team in the ACC to go, I'd pick Clemson. Just because all Clemson really has to do is get past North Carolina State, and they're the better team of any team in the ACC. Pac-12, only teams I feel like there's worth mentioning is Washington and Washington State. That's it. But Washington has to go to Stanford, and then they play Washington State at the house at the end of the season. Washington State plays Stanford at the house, and then they go to Washington. You know, they both have to win out. They got to win. They got to win out. They're going to have to win out, because the way this year is going to go, it's going to have to win out, especially for the Pac-12, because Pac-12 is too weak. USC's going to catch L's. Stanford's going to catch more L's. They're going to have to win out, all right? Now, Big 12. Oklahoma was my team in the Big 12, especially after they beat Ohio State. Beginning of the season, all I kept saying was that if they can beat Ohio State, they're playoff bound. But they slipped up to Iowa State. They can still make it. I mean, I feel like they're still going to win their conference. All they got to do is beat Oklahoma State and TCU, really. That's the only competition they got left. But if you want to talk about realistic contender, TCU. If TCU, wins out, they'll have the resume to go. That's for damn sure. They'll damn sure have the resume to go. But I still feel like Oklahoma's going to win the Big 12, which stops TCU's chances. Now, the SEC. Well, we'll start off with the East, since there's only one team in the East. Georgia. Georgia's looking like a legit contender. And with the rest of their schedule set up, Florida's looking trash, but we know how the Florida-Georgia game goes. So we're going to put that on there as a game to watch. And then the Georgia versus Auburn game, which is from what I've been saying since the beginning of the season. If Georgia's going to catch any L's, it's going to be against Florida and Auburn. But I don't see them catching no L's against neither one of them. Really, I see Georgia going 12-0 throughout the regular season. Now on the West, you got Auburn and Bama. Well, of course, they play each other in the season, so the winner of that most likely will be the team to go out the West to the SEC Championship. Auburn, though, I just don't. I mean, unless they beat Bama, I don't see them having no chance because I don't see them beating Georgia. I really don't see them beating Bama. So the way I see it is, it's going to be Georgia and Bama, 12-0 SEC Championship, and then the winner, of course, is definitely going to go on. So these are my playoff predictions now. Okay, we got SEC Championship, 2 undefeated teams, Georgia, Alabama. They play. I honestly feel like Georgia has a real chance to win. I'm also a Georgia fan, so some people might think that's biased, but from what I've seen, they got a shot. They got the defense. Bama's offense ain't spectacular, so I feel like Georgia's defense can keep them in the game against Alabama. But no matter what, the winner of the SEC Championship is going to get the number 1 spot, period. So whoever wins the SEC Championship, that's the number 1 team in the country. Clemson, I'm predicting them to go undefeated, go to the ACC Championship, win the ACC Championship, put Clemson down at number 2. Then at number 3, I got the loser of the SEC Championship. Bama, Georgia, whichever one. If Bama wins, they'll be number 1, Georgia number 3. If Georgia wins, put Georgia at number 1, put Bama at number 3. And then number 4, a lot of people are going to think I'm crazy on this, but I'm not. I got Notre Dame, and I'm going to tell you why. Notre Dame right now is 5-1. The only loss they have was to Georgia, who is the number 4 team in the country right now. They lost by 1 point. Only reason they lost is because Georgia's defense sacked Brandon Wimbush at the end, made him fumble. If we didn't sack him and make him fumble, they would have easily just, kept moving the ball or just not moving the ball. Regardless, it was in field goal range. A field goal would have won the game if they would have made it. And they would be 6-0 right now if that would have happened. But when you look at their schedule, they got USC at the house. They got North Carolina State at the house. They go to Miami. They go to Stanford. That's 4 games right there that are big games against ranked teams. They got out of their 6 games, 5 of those opponents right now are ranked in the top 25. So if Notre Dame can win out, let's say they win out and the only L they took was Georgia, you're not going to tell me with that schedule that they're not going to be able to get into the playoffs compared to a 1 or 2 loss Big 12 team, a 1 or 2 loss Pac-12 team, or a 1 or 2 loss Big 10 team. You're not going to tell me that. And then Notre Dame's also the team that gave Michigan State their only L right now. Now let's say Michigan State knocks off Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State. You're not going to tell me that doesn't make Notre Dame look real good. Look, at the beginning of the season, all the hype Notre Dame had, I didn't buy it. Mainly because we was getting ready to play them. So to me, they was trash. But after watching the game they played, after watching how they've been doing this season, Notre Dame's a legit contender. So my predictions is Bama, Clemson, Georgia, Notre Dame. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notable teams that could get in. Washington, I feel like. Oklahoma, I feel like still could get in. And then I'd say Michigan or Penn State. Whichever one of them can make it out of that little battle of the big 3, maybe even big 4 if Michigan State's back out there in the Big 10. And I'll even throw Miami in there because if Miami can win out, Miami's going. They got a high enough rank, and if they win out, I mean, they'll go. But Clemson, Miami, Washington, Oklahoma, Michigan, or Penn State. Notable mentions along with Bama, Georgia, and Notre Dame. Go Dogs.